only a few days left in his term of office, is yet determined to go forward. And I'm sorry, but I have to ask the question, why? Why is it that we can never, in the communities of color, get Mitch Morrissey to either do something or not do something? I know he would not want me to say that there must be a racist bent, but his refusal to answer the community and to tell us why he's doing this is an injustice. It's an injustice against African Americans. It's an injustice to all citizens of Denver, because it's your tax dollars that are being wasted with this ridiculous trial. And we're calling for justice right now.
My name is Amanda Henderson, and I am the Executive Director of the Interfaith Alliance of Colorado. We represent over 50 congregations and 1,500 people across the state. In the past 48 hours, people have come together to sign a petition saying that this is wrong, crying out against this injustice. 2,200 people signed in the past 48 hours, and 41,000 people watched a video and are heartbroken and angry about what is happening in our community. It's hard to admit when we make a mistake. It's hard to admit when we are wrong. And what has happened here, what has happened over the past 28 years is wrong. And it's time to stand up and say that mistakes were made. In my Christian tradition, when we make a mistake, we right that wrong. We say that this was not okay. Evidence was destroyed. A man was convicted on a dream. Another man has confessed to that very crime. And yet we keep on showing this level of hubris instead of being humble and naming that mistakes were made. It is time for Morrissey to let this go, to stop wasting our time and our money and let this man live his life. Thank you.
My name is Nathan Woodliff-Stanley, Executive Director of the ACLU of Colorado. I'm here to join with the thousands of concerned Coloradans who are calling on Denver DA Mitch Morrissey to end his inexplicable pursuit of further punishment against Clarence Moses-El, who has already served 28 years for a crime he has always maintained he did not commit. Now, the irregularities in the original trial against Clarence Moses-El were staggering. Those irregularities, which include the destruction of DNA evidence that could have proven his innocence and a startling lack of evidence supporting his guilt, combined with the confession of another man who prosecutors failed to investigate, were enough for a judge to vacate the conviction last year. In her order, Judge Candace Gertis ruled that the evidence she reviewed was sufficient to allow a jury to probably return a verdict of acquittal. A very high bar must be crossed for a conviction to be vacated, and this case has crossed that bar. Now, that should be the end of the story, but rather than admit his mistakes and the mistakes of his office and allow even a shred of dignity for Clarence Moses-El, Mr. Morrissey has decided to drag him back into court in a brazen display of prosecutorial power and zeal. As a public servant sworn to uphold justice, Morrissey should listen to the thousands of concerned citizens who are encouraging him to stop this gratuitously cruel, racist, and unnecessary trial before it begins.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Reverend Tammy Garrett Williams, and I'm here representing the state of Colorado, Wyoming, and Montana for the NAACP State President, Rosemary Lyman, and the leaders of the State Executive Committee. The NAACP has long called for justice for Clarence Moses-El, but proceeding with this trial, this is not justice, and we call on Ms. Morrissey to dismiss these jurors and send the lawyers and the staff back to their offices. and send Clarence Moses-El home. He deserves to be free. This is not justice. Not only was CME or Clarence Moses-El released because of the authorities and the world knew him to be innocent, he has shown his worthiness. The charges were never true. They were never true. But when he was released, he joined the community again. As he has been productive again and contributing again. What is not productive is this prosecution, this waste of taxpayer dollars. We call for Mitch Morrissey at this time to make this about justice, reconciliation, restorative justice. Please, please, Mr. Morrissey, right this wrong. Let Clarence Moses-El start his life again in peace. No more trials, just peace and justice for Mr. Clarence Moses-El. Thank you.
Pastor Dale Phillips, currently president of the Greater Metro Denver Minister Alliance, and as I know you've already heard from my other colleagues and those who are supporting this issue, we're greatly concerned that in an atmosphere right now where we have so much data, so much information about how African American males in particular are being institutionalized in prisons all across our country, understanding that there is actually a programmatic pipeline that's drawing them out of our high schools and out of our higher learning institutions and out of our community and incarcerating them at much higher numbers than any other ethnicity. To be able to compare that, see that we are having this conversation in that shadow where a man who has spent 28 years already in prison has been released for 11 months and now is being considered to be retried based on a person who cannot directly identify them outside of their intimate personal dream. I think this is a tragedy that we are even allowing the district attorney, with the absence of evidence that could have clearly distinguished that he's not guilty, but now is so unfortunately lost. DNA evidence that's lost, unavailable to bring clarity to this issue. I think this is a huge disconnect between where we are as a society and not being willing to allow justice to truly be just that. It should justify a man who has no evidence weighing against him. And I'm not an attorney, but in closing, I'm sure confused with how you can try a person on one day, put him in jail for 28 years, release him on another day, and then come back and not try him for a new crime, but the same crime. Yeah. And so I'm a little confused about that, and perhaps Mr. Morrissey can give us some explanation on that issue as well. So we're hoping that we can mass attention towards this issue as well as support so that Clarence Moses-El will be properly released to allow him to remain with his family. We thank you for being present here today. All right.
Excuse me.
Hey.
Hi.
Mr. Morrissey not available at this moment?
He's not.
Okay, and you are dealing with?
I'm the communications director.
Very good. Well, listen, what we have here is more than 2,000 petitions signing Clarence Moses-El. We are very concerned about the decision that's been made by this office to try him again where there was an option to release him. And so we want to make sure that this box does not get destroyed. I want to make sure that it is placed in the presence of Mr. Morrissey for him to truly understand This is just a snapshot of the concerns of our community about a man, an African American, who spent 28 years in prison. And as we are also preparing here in Colorado to vote about removing the term of slavery in our Colorado Constitution, we feel compelled to challenge this decision, because it's almost as if once a man has been incarcerated, even if there are circumstances as well as evidence that would prove him innocent, this system wants to keep him, almost to make him remain a slave, a prisoner for life. So that's the weight upon which we're making this presentation here today.
I understand that. There isn't much that I can say. There's a trial that's currently underway, and that limits our ability to make any comments. So if it's all right, I'll graciously accept the petitions that you have, and I will take them back to the office.
Thank you very much.
And we're looking forward to your office canceling that trial. It doesn't need to be tried again.
The trial is underway, and it is open to the public. So once a jury is seated and opening statements are heard, the opening statements and the public testimony is all open for anyone who would like to be part of that.
We sure will.
Thank you very much.